Good afternoon. It is Miss Kim with Miss Kim's Tarot and tearoom.com. It is Saturday, July the 11th at 1:21 p.m. I'm going to do a few things here. We're going to talk about the aspects from July the 11th today until Tuesday the 14th. So let's get started. I'm going to give you a rundown of what kind of things we can expect happening today. And, and the day has gotten away from me because I've had a pretty crazy start. But we have the moon in Gemini. So communication is a big thing. There's going to be talking. Sometimes that's just gossip, and sometimes it's little facts and figures and trivia that might be, what people are talking about. It can be all over the place with Gemini. There's always a duality to the conversation, and sometimes there's that devil's advocate kind of thing that is played during a Gemini moon. So moon in Gemini, and then a moon goes void, of course, at 6:11 p.m. And it's going to stay void, of course, until Sunday evening at 6:46 p.m. So that's a long void, of course. That's why I wanted to get all this communication stuff out of the way, because we're going to have a slow rest of our day from today at 6:11 p.m. until tomorrow at 6:46 p.m. 24 hours, a little over, of a void, of course, moon, which means it's in no sign and you're just kind of out there floating, and it's not a high energy time. So the first aspect we have for today, Saturday the 11th, is the moon conjunct Uranus. There's high hopes, but unrealistic plans. So you might have made plans that you really had too inflated to be able to carry out what you want realistically. So you might need to scale back a little bit. We have the moon sextile Neptune. So it's a very creative, intuitive, and meditative time. I've got my stuff ready to paint my seahorse as soon as I get finished with this. Then we have the moon trine Pluto. Don't make demands on yourself or other people, because you just won't have good results with that. And then we have the moon conjunct Mars, which is a time to keep active and finish your task, which is basically what's happening right now. And then we have the moon sextile Saturn. It's easy to help people in need and to give good advice. So there we have it for today. It was a little late coming out because I had another video that I had to do, or chose to do. So tomorrow, July the 12th, which is a Sunday, we have the moon in Cancer at 6:46 p.m. Mothering, children, comfort food, history, feelings are all going to be in focus, and you don't have a moon that it's really in until later that evening. So it could be a time of reflection, especially with having a Mercury retrograde. And then we have the moon conjunct Mercury. So there could be a short trip possible. Make sure that you pay attention to details, especially if you're going somewhere new. And then on Monday, the 13th, the moon is in Cancer. So feelings are still important. Mothering, things with your children, anything having to do with history, antiquity, home life, your base in which you operate. So for Monday, the 13th, the first aspect is the moon sextile Venus. So it's a time of harmonious energy, affectionate and cheerful in the early part of the day. Then we have the moon square Neptune. Just be careful about your judgment being more poor at this time and being gullible and impressionable. And then we have the moon quincunx Pluto, where emotional upheavals can threaten your inner security. Something might happen where somebody gets upset and it makes you feel unsafe or it makes you feel insecure in some way. Then we have the Venus square Uranus, which can cause excitement in your love life. And then we have, this one's a nice one, Venus quincunx Neptune. It's good for musical expression. So get out your musical instruments at that time and see what you can create. And then we have Venus quincunx Pluto. A fading relationship dies. So that one needs to be checked out because we got to see which house that's in and how that could possibly play out. So that one I want you to kind of circle and say, how's this going to manifest for me? And if we need to chart it, you know what to do. You know how to reach me. And then we have the moon square Saturn, which is a time of disciplined work and serious thinking about your future. And on the 14th, which is Tuesday, the moon will go void of course at 5:44 a.m. and we will have a new moon at 5:44 a.m. It says in 21 degrees Cancer. So you got to look at where that 21 degree Cancer is, where new energy's coming in. And then we have the moon in Leo that will be arriving at 6:35 p.m. So that's a little over a almost 12 13-hour void of course. And then it goes into Leo. A little bit more dramatic. Things having to do with children, creativity, gambling. So there was the moon conjunct Mercury. There can be temperamental actions and words at that time. Moon conjunct Sun, revitalizing and new beginnings. And then we have the moon conjunct Jupiter, which is idealistic, contentment, and optimism. The only thing that I'm concerned about with the 14th is that temperamental actions and words, and the moon being in Leo, of course, it can get a little dramatic. So you just want to kind of watch that day a little closer. And so pretty much this week, it's kind of laid back except for a couple of aspects. So why don't we concentrate on what's coming next, which I am going to do a unboxing of the biblical tarot. Check that out. Is not that beautiful? When I saw it, I said I have to have this. So I literally have had it in the plastic waiting to unbox it because I definitely see by looking at the things that people are liking, they like the unboxing videos that I do. And so, and I like to have cards. So we have something in common. So let's see, lift here to open. All right, that's easy enough. And then here we have the study guide. Smells pretty good. You know me, I'm going to have to smell it. It's got a small study guide. And they have chalices, candles. They have as far as feathers. And this is interesting because this one I will definitely have to learn. So these are the cards. And, I have a background, a Christian background. In fact, I was a Sunday school teacher. I know that's hard to believe, but I was. So look, that's pretty. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in him. You are loved. And this is whether seeking guidance, wisdom, or deeper connection to your spiritual root, your journey begins here. I love that. Let's see. So I guess 0 would be what the Fool would be, and the Magician stays the same. Magician being Moses, and that's an interesting story and to begin with. And the High Priestess it gives. Um, so we've got a High Priestess, and so 0 being the Fool, which is called the Soul, and the Empress is here. The Emperor is beautiful. Look at him. And then there's a High Priest. The Lovers are beautiful. And then we've got the Chariot. Let's see. Okay. How do you like this riser? It certainly does bring out the cards. We've got the Strength card here, the Hermit, and the Wheel of Fortune, which here is called the Wheel within the Wheel. And Justice is the same. So the Death card is certainly that looks like the Pale Rider with the sickle. Temperance, we've got the Devil. Let me show you that one. The Tower. The Star is beautiful. This one I love. Isn't that beautiful? And then the Moon. And we have Jesus on the donkey. And that is the Sun. And Judgment is here. Oh, this is the World. Okay. So there's candles. Let's see. And there's chalices, which of course would be the cups. And let's see. There's feathers, the Ace of Feathers. And the Five of Grains. I'm going to have to look and see, would that be considered pentacles since it's coming to the back of the deck? Okay. Let me take a look at the little biblical booklet, the biblical tarot booklet. So the Three of Chalices is the wedding at Cana, and it gives celebration and joy. So let me just go and do a 3-card spread with this and just ask what it is that we need to know. And now these are a little bit harder to spread. They're a lot, they feel almost like they've got a plastic coating to them. They're very, like, you wouldn't be able to get your fingerprints all over them. You could wipe them off. So here, let me see what it is that we need to know. And I am definitely going to have to look at the book because I do not know the meanings. And of course, I'll use my intuition to finish the rest. But so the first card is the Queen of Candles. And I'm wondering if those are the ones, since that's fire. Then we've got the Three of Grains and the Four of Grains. And then we have the Ace of Chalice. Okay. So what is the environment right now is the Queen of Candles. All right, Miss Queen of Candles. Wisdom and spiritual insight, confidence, strength, and decisiveness, courage and determination, inspirational influence. If there's an insecurity, There's insecurity or self-doubt, reluctance to lead, overdependence, loss of charisma, and lack of moral integrity. So I guess we need to ask the question, is that us, upright or reversed individually? So then we have the 4 of grains and the 3 of grains. So upright, it means teamwork and collaboration, success through shared effort, focus on quality and craftsmanship, realizing ambitious projects, leadership and group projects. If it's reversed, it means lack of teamwork or cooperation, poor planning, disorganized efforts, conflict or miscommunication, failure to recognize each contributor. And then the 4 of grains means material security and abundance, prudent financial management, recognizing limits and material wealth, balancing material and spiritual self-reliance and stability. Reverse is greed and overattachment, neglect of emotional well-being, hoarding due to fear or insecurity, isolation due to focus on material, prioritizing wealth over relationships. So we got to say, am I that? And then the outcome is the Ace of Chalices. I like these cards. But I say that every time, don't I? Upright, spiritual awakening, embracing new perspectives, inner transformation, acceptance and understanding, deeper emotional or spiritual truths, resistance to change or new ideas, emotional or spiritual stagnation, miscommunication, social alienation or barriers, neglecting inner growth. So I guess we have to ask which of these things that we are and what we're working on. I like these cards. So, since I do have a foundation in the Christian church and definitely was a Sunday school teacher, these things are very precious to me. And I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead and that you enjoyed this preview. And I will talk to you later. Let me close this out.